Welcome to a counselor's journey to private practice. I am here with Brent Gerrard. Brent, thank you for being.
Thank you, Juan. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, and as a side note, Brent and I are doc students together. We're on what would you call it? An overextended stay.
Yes, overextended by way too many semesters, but we're in the home stretch.
We're in the home stretch, and I bet you're probably as excited and as done with it as I am.
Absolutely, no
I'm
doubt.
Yeah, man. It's a good journey and a pleasure to have, met you and still be connecting with you. So I
Mhm.
have you on here and I appreciate you sharing time with me, sharing space with me. What I want to do is I want to start this by asking a little bit about how you got started in private practice. Share some of your journey so that counselors out there watching, they're able to use some of those skills and not fall maybe in the same ways that you and I did.
So the way that I got started was it was something that I stumbled into actually because I was working at an agency. At the time, we were doing a state funded program that the program actually was canceled by the state or was no longer being funded. And at the same time, uh, autonomous clinicians were able to start billing um, for services on the exchange, which was a part of the Affordable Care Act. And so it was just at that time that I had talked with the owners of the agency, and after several meetings, just made the decision to kind of go out on my own and do my own thing. And so I went out and started. That's kind of the origins of it. That's how it got started. Kind
Okay,
of
so
by,
you took a leap of faith, if you will.
yes, and was scared to death.
Yeah, and maybe that's, very natural. It sounds like mine. Right when I got my master's 2014, I was like, I'm about to jump in this water and I know I won't die because I took some swimming lessons, but but I'll probably make a lot of mistakes and get hurt. So you did that. What did that feel like? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. So it, as a husband and a father, I felt panicked, quite frankly, and so I do pretty good under pressure. Most of the people around me didn't know until later that I was pretty concerned about the way things were going to go. But I also knew that just based on conversations that I'd had with people and some research that I'd done, conversations I'd had with some of the insurance companies that I was being credentialed with, that it was a pretty safe bet. The thing that the area that I was the most unsure of was being able to get clients.
Yeah.
And I did have some at the time, so I did start off private practice with some of the clients from the mental health agency.
So you kind of bridged those into that new
Mhm.
project that you were doing. And, it's pretty neat. So at the time you were married and a dad, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I should
Cool.
add too, the agency I was with was great. The owners were great. The people that worked there were great. They were very supportive, and so that was very helpful as well. But yes, so as a husband and a dad, there's a sense of responsibility, not just as a husband, as a parent in general. There's a heavy sense of responsibility. So it was a scary thing to do, but
Yeah, I relate to that. That was my journey. I was still husband and dad, and it was scary and kind of like, man, I hope I don't F this up. There's a lot on the line, right? You're a provider, and it's a mission connected to parenthood, connected to marriage. Tell me, and this is kind of where I want to dig into. As far as building the practice, I think it's awesome that you were with that agency. Now, whenever you were with the agency, did you have the mindset as far as, you know what, I want to be with a certain agency that's going to allow me to bridge into private practice, just in a very fluid manner? Was that part of the game plan?
I wish I was that proactive and that much of a forward thinker at the time. No. It was something that happened very organically. Quite frankly, I had not thought that far ahead. Um, I could probably say honestly, looking back, there were some um, very, there were some very, I don't know, passive or I was, some daydreams about that kind of thing, but it wasn't anything that I had actively thought about. No. So, as far as growing the practice, yeah, that was one of the biggest concerns that I had. And I think that one of the things that I had found in my research at that time, the state government had done a study of the Green River Valley, which is right beside us, in the Ohio River Valley, which we're in, and had talked about the need for mental health workers. And so that's a good thing to do when you're researching private practice and getting started, is find out the kind of research that your state has done on the availability or the abundance or the lack of mental health workers, mental health care workers in your community. And it had drawn out very specifically how many therapists this area was lacking, and psychiatrists and psychiatric nurse practitioners, et cetera. And so that did give me a good idea that there was enough people to draw from, that it was a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. It seems like you and I were cut out of the same cloth. Coming out, I'm bilingual, English and Spanish. I did the same thing where I looked up research in the area and just tried to figure out population, how many Hispanics were in the area, Spanish speaking, compared to the number of clinicians available. And that kind of gave me that like inner confidence and security of, okay, I think things are going to be okay. For anybody out there listening, I think this is where, Brent shared something really important, that early on, he didn't have that plan as far as, I'm going to be in this agency to make that transition to private practice. And as clinicians in private practice, we kind of have to have these two brains, right? One business entrepreneur, the other clinician. So as far as, if you are in graduate school or early on in the phase, being able to connect yourself with a strong agency that you can transition out of and then effectively grow that private practice. Brent, tell me from your end, marketing your practice. Before this video, you and I were chatting, and you were sharing with me a little bit about marketing specifically to the clients you work with, and then also marketing to professionals in your community, with the goal being connected to how do I funnel clients into the practice.
Yeah. And so in regards to marketing, and kind of to piggyback on what you just said about, having the two brains. So I came from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad has started several businesses. My mom has started several businesses that have been successful. So it runs deep within me to, to start and build businesses. I constantly have different ideas of different things that I can be a part of. I think I enjoy the creative part of it. So that's number one. That's really important. And then I think as far as marketing and building our practice, the way that we've done it is really through relationship. And again, because of the lack of mental health care workers, there is an overabundance of people. So I should make that clear for those that are in other parts of the country where that's not the case. So building relationships, not just with other mental health providers, but with medical doctors and PAs and nurse practitioners and psychiatric nurse practitioners, with school resource people and others, with the courts and in other areas where there are good referral sources. And so for us, it's of paramount importance that we connect clients with someone that is right for them. And one of the things that we've offered openly to our clients is, if you're referred to someone and they're not a good fit, let us know and we will get you in with someone who's a good fit.
I love that.
There are also other providers most other providers in town. We're very, very blessed in this area to have a community of mental health care workers that are very competent, ethical, great people to work with. And, we definitely try to place clients when they're referred to us, to whoever that would be appropriate to see them, and that, deals with some of the diagnoses or the symptoms that they're displaying. So we've really done it through relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you shed light perfectly on it. I think it's so important to realize that we cannot serve that client that we are working with in every way possible. And the professionals out there, a nutritionist, a chiropractor, an attorney, the guy that makes the awesome burgers in your local town, they probably have the same mindset that we do. They're serving their customer client, and they want to make sure that that person is happy in every way possible. And I
Yes.
think a lot of us were in positions where a client comes in and they may say, I need help with exercise. And we're like, well, I'm not a personal trainer, but I know a really good one in town.
Absolutely.
So you're doing
Yeah.
that. You're building healthy relationships. Good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think too with our clients as well. I mean, our clients are probably some of our best referral sources, and I think that that's really important. That you're connecting uh, referrals that clients have from their various communities, whether it's their work communities or their children's school communities, that we're able to connect them with the most appropriate provider as well.
Yeah. One strategy that I remember using, I use it every so often, is I'll kind of look at the avatar as far as, who are the clients that the practice serving. And then I think about likely professionals in the community they may reach out to. And I get just old school paper, write down a huge list of all the local ones in the area. And then I reach out with that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very good point. One of the things that we've tried to focus on is what is, for each of our clinicians, what is the best, what is your ideal client? Who is
Mhm.
your ideal client? And so many times contacting those providers that serve that ideal client, and as you mentioned, not just fellow providers, but also, people from other communities, the legal community or the, schools or whatever.
Yeah. What type of conversations do you have with clients so that it can kind of create that, I guess, that system where, you're working with them and you're providing an awesome service, but then it leads to word of mouth.
So I think most of the time, clients that are satisfied with our services, they are the first to ask, "Can I refer someone to you?" And
Yes.
so we really assure them, or do our best to assure them, that if we cannot take them for whatever reason, whether it's because we're full or it's not the clientele that we specialize in serving, then we assure them that we'll make sure that they get to the right clinician, and that may not be within the practice. And so that's an important thing about mental health care, mental health care community, where primarily driven by the idea that it's for the sake of the client, not what's best for the clinician. And
Yes.
I think we have a great community of people here that do that.
That was very well said. Not focused on or entirely on the clinician, but that of the client. I think sometimes even the way that you structure your office, like I can see some of yours, it's nice. You've got the lamp, the walls have that calming color, and you're bringing someone into a calming and supportive environment. And counseling hasn't even started yet, right? You haven't even started to work with
Right.
them, but
Yeah,
that in itself, just sitting out there, can allow that person to say, you know what? I like being here, and I'm probably going to refer someone else to come here.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean atmosphere is so important, and as helpers, it's important that we do have spaces that are conducive to healing for people, and we really go by the holistic approach that you know healing for your body, healing for your mind, healing for your soul is so important, and that we are also practicing those principles as clinicians. It's very important.
Absolutely. So it kind of seems like some of the, and I know I could pick your brain for hours, but some of the core ones is making sure that when you're working to build your practice, you hit the nail on the head. Is that what it is? The nail on the head when it comes to
Yeah,
building relationships with the persons in your community, professionals in the community, and the individuals that you serve. I love both of those. Sometimes they're so simple that we overlook them.
absolutely. It is the most simplistic. It's the thing on the surface that I oftentimes fly past in favor of something that is, uh, much further out of reach. So yeah, it's the simple.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we want that shiny object, like, oh,
Yes,
I'll get that Google ads or a Facebook ad. But it's like, yeah, you can do that, but you could also go and meet that nutritionist who is
yes,
doing an awesome job, but she needs a little bit of help with a counselor that can talk about eating disorders. And you're
yes,
that counselor. But she doesn't
absolutely.
know that. So you got to go over there and break bread, have some
Right.
coffee, get to know her.
Yes. Yeah, look at them in the eyeballs and spend a moment with them. Absolutely. It's very
Yeah.
important.
I forget who said it, but it's a quote, and it's not mine. And it's like people trust those that they get to know and feel comfortable with. And
Yes.
and it's applying that with those that we serve and the professionals that we build relationships with in the community. Brent, it has been a pleasure to have you here, man.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed with you. I know those listening got a lot of really good nuggets. If anyone wants to connect with you, get to know you a little bit more, maybe ask you questions that have to do with building their private practice, how can they contact you?
So they can contact me through Gerrard Counseling. Gerrard Counseling at gmail.com. So GARRARD counseling at gmail.com, or their website at gerardtherapeuticpartners.com.
Awesome. So if you guys are
Thank
listening, you're welcome, man. If you are listening, I think he's a good fit. Known him for a while. He is he's done a lot, continue to do a lot with his life.
you, Juan.